Spencer Gallup. How you doing, sir?
What's going on? What's going on?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. We've seen a lot of drama in the college football sphere the last couple days, I would say. You've wrapped up media days now. We're almost to the dog days. Really, we are now in the true dog days before football does, in
That's a
fact,
month away.
return. But we do have the Pro Football Hall of Fame game next week. Carolina versus Arizona in Canton, Ohio, which will be, of course, cinema, as some would say. Spencer, how has your week been?
It's been pretty good. Been working a lot, but it's been pretty good so far.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Can't
sir.
complain too much.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. You got to make money, right? You
Gotta
got to
make
make
that.
money. And you could help us make more money if you subscribe to our YouTube channel here and you hit the push notification bell to stay up to date on all of our new videos here on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, give us a star rating as well. And go follow our TikTok, Instagram, and X page at Ball N Beatz Media on our social media platforms. And here on YouTube specifically, over 98% of you guys who have watched us in the last month are not subscribed. So we'll give you that one last little tidbit. Please go subscribe to this YouTube channel. Spencer, we have our last college football conference to preview this off season, which is a word we don't like to use around here that much. But we have the Big Ten that we're going to be previewing. Plus, we're going to start off this episode here. We haven't talked a lot of NFL football the last few episodes, but it's bold take season for the NFL. We're getting there. About a month and a half or so before the season starts. We got to start throwing back in some more NFL content in here. So we're going to start off this episode with our 3 bold takes that you and I both have brought here today. Spencer, you start us off.
My first bold take is, and I don't know if this is like super bold.
The Cleveland Browns only get 5 or 6 wins this season. That's bold, brother.
That is bold. They're only, yeah. I was
they
gonna
might
say,
get less. Actually, I'm pretty certain on
two.
Kalshi. You got to love AI Kalshi or whatever. I don't know too much about Kalshi. Other people out there don't gamble. I don't recommend it. But Kalshi, I think, has like 6 wins for Cleveland, which is what I predicted on this YouTube channel. So
2-15. All right. The Dallas Cowboys will have the number 1 offense in the NFL by a good margin.
Okay.
Don't know if it's really that bold because I think a lot of people are high on this Cowboys team, especially this Cowboys offense. I think the defense will be better this year. I think Dak Prescott will get over 5,000 passing yards. I think this offense is going to be unbelievably good this year. Like George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb are 2 really good wide receivers. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb being that wide receiver 1, the alpha, wearing the 88 that you have to be good in Dallas if you wear 88.
Right.
George Pickens got the tag, and we'll see what happens with the season coming up with Pickens. And even their running game really, it wasn't all that bad, but they're going to be a pass-heavy team this season. I fully believe that. And I think that Dallas is going to have a really, really, really good offense with Schottenheimer back his second year.
And I mean, re-signing Javonte Williams as well in this offseason for them also gives them a nice boost at the running game.
And the O-line is better. They have some young pieces like Cooper Beebe,
Guyton, Tyler Guyton, and Tyler Booker. Both those guys.
I like
really
the pieces that they have on their offensive line. They're kind of trying to do what they had for years with that really good Cowboys offensive line that just got older. Same thing that Philadelphia does. They just develop offensive linemen and keep them for the long haul. And I think Dallas is doing that here. So while I think their defense is going to be better than last year because it had times where it was really bad. I think their offense is going to be the story of the NFL. And I think they're really going to surprise some people this year with how good they really can be.
Number 3 for me, it's a prediction that has already come across your feed if you follow our YouTube channel with our short form content that I've been posting. This is the only one that's really team oriented that I have. So number 3 for me, it's the New Orleans Saints. I believe they win the NFC South this season. I've been out there pretty much pumping up the Saints all off season long. I believe in what they've been now, really since the second half of the year with Tyler Shuck. You've seen Chris Olave finally healthy for a season, and it pays dividends getting a contract extension
Good for him.
yesterday from the time of this recording, 4 years, $132 million. They now pair Jordan Tyson, the rookie kid out of Arizona State, a guy who I am sky high on as a wide receiver. He can be a true wide receiver one for this franchise. You still have Alvin Kamara. He's unk, I know, but it's still good enough. But you bring in Travis Etienne, who is basically a younger Alvin Kamara. So it kind of works out that way. And I think this defense is very underrated. I know that we were talking off air here a little bit about Chase Young, and obviously, us being Ohio State fans, we watched how good he was at Ohio State, and it hasn't necessarily panned out in the NFL. But he was a double digit sack guy last season. I don't want people to forget about that. It's hard to get 10 sacks. We just see the greatest guys in the league do that. And I know Chase Young kind of had that expectation maybe coming into the league, and he hasn't panned out. But he had his best season last year. Chase Young was exceptional. Brian Breesy, the injury concerns obviously are always kind of there with him. But I really like this Saints team.
Isn't he out for the year?
I think he is out for the year. I
Yeah.
think he just got injured and he's out for the season, which will dock the Saints defensively a little bit. But I like the direction this franchise is heading in. I really do. And I think it's going to continue this season in a big way. So I got the Saints winning the NFC South. I almost thought about being a little bit bolder with them, but I think that is where we'll stay. So.
Yes. The Saints are going to the Super Bowl.
I was
baby.
not saying that. I was going to say, like, specifically, they go to, like, the divisional or maybe be the surprise NFC champion. You know, what's the word? I was about to say not contender. They could be an NFC championship contender depending on how the season falls.
I mean,
but I'm not gonna.
Here's my thing. I don't believe in Tyler Shuck. I'm gonna be completely honest.
Is it because he's like 42 and
it's because year? He was 21st in QBR last year. He had 10 touchdowns and 6 picks.
Watch the tape.
Had 2,300 passing yards.
Watch that tape, brother. That tape is disgusting.
In 11 games, you're only giving me 10 touchdown passes. Like, I don't know, dude.
If you, I mean, the whole situation. He didn't play
I think
though.
you got too much. I think you're inhaling too much of the jambalaya.
I think
you're eating too much seafood gumbo down there, which I don't blame you. I think the gumbo is getting to your head.
It's good.
Oh my god, dude! Anything New Orleans food, I would eat. Like that is like the place that I would go and I would never leave.
Food wise, yeah. Food wise,
dude, it's so good.
I don't think there's a city in America that could come close to New Orleans food. Honestly,
no wonder Zion got fat. Like,
yes, man. The seafood boils down there got to be the best, and we know how people are about their seafood boils. New Orleans probably does it better than anybody, and it's not even close. You know, the thing about Tyler Shuck that a lot of people are forgetting is, I mean, you had Spencer Rattler start the year to start it off, and then they threw in Tyler Shuck later on, and I would have to look back. I'm not fully confident that he actually started 11 games. I think it was less than that. He probably got in and played in 11 games. I don't think he started 11 games, but I'll have to double check that to make sure. But watch the tape of this dude. Watch his film. Genuinely, his mechanics, his accuracy was there. It looks the part. Tyler Shuck looks the part. This roster is now piecing together very nicely. Obviously, we know about the cap situations that the Saints have had for like 8 years. It felt like they were always 70 million under the cap, and they had to just continue to shove all their contracts farther down and farther down. Of course, some of those guys are still on the team on cheaper deals now at this point, but with where they were, I don't think they expected right now to be where they are. I feel like the Saints were still expecting like 3 or 4 or 5 more years of really rebuilding this franchise, and I think they've somehow stumbled upon at least a window here where there's a legit opportunity again. So I like the Saints in a division that has a lot of questions, specifically with one team in a quarterback situation financially. You've got another franchise. It's like, okay, we won the division last year, but can we keep that momentum going? Or were we just a flash in the pan? And another team that just, you never really know in Atlanta, which Atlanta should be on paper like the best team in the division, but they always seem to flounder it. So
All right, my second bold take is Jadarian Price will win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot.
You can say what you want about Fernando Mendoza and Jeremiah Love and all the top guys. I think Jadarian Price is going into a perfect spot in Seattle with a run-heavy system, and I know they have Zach Charbonnet, but I really think that they are going to. I mean, obviously they're going to use him like Kenneth Walker because they're basically replacing him with Kenneth Walker. I think they're going to use Price a lot more than Charbonnet on this upcoming season. I think he's really going to take off. And a lot of people didn't realize how good Notre Dame's run game was last year because it was Jadarian Price was essentially the backup and Jeremiah Love was the main guy, but Price still got his touches and still made plays when he needed to.
Yes.
And I love his quickness. I love his elusiveness. I love his burst that he has and the way he can quickly hit the holes running when he finds them in the offensive line. Seattle has a good system around him. Well, I don't think Seattle will be as good as last year because they are losing some pieces. I think their offensive line is going to be decent again.
Yes.
And I really, truly believe that Jadarian Price will make an immediate impact in Seattle and be up there. He might even get more rushing yards or total overall yardage than Jeremiah Love this year, just because of how bad Arizona is all around. And their offensive line is the one thing that Arizona is trying to piece together and get. But
Yes.
Seattle's built for this. Mike McDonald loves the run game. I'm coming from a Michigan coach. Of course, you love to run the ball. And obviously, it gets the pressure off of Sam Darnold to make perfect throws all the time. And I just think Price is going to be a dog this year for Seattle. So.
Yeah, talking about Arizona, since you brought that up, it feels like Jeremiah Love's going to have the Ashton Genty treatment of last year, where his offensive line was just so bad, and he's not going to have the season you expected.
Nope.
I like that prediction a lot, by the way. Jadarian Price getting Offensive Rookie of the Year. That's a solid one. Number 2 for me, it involves a franchise that I guess people think I'm really a propaganda pusher for, and that would be the Tennessee Titans. Now, it's not about them individually as a team.
They're
It's
winning the
about
ball.
it is about their quarterback, Cam Ward. I'm expecting Cam Ward in his second year to take a big time jump. Now, I'm not necessarily believing the Titans. Maybe they make the playoff. They could be a dark horse playoff team. I think a lot of people are kind of sleeping on the Tennessee Titans this
The South
offseason.
is good, though.
You've got Robert Saleh, you've got Brian Daboll. They've brought in weapons for Cam Ward, and that's really what this prediction's about. They now have weapons for Cam Ward to really get the ball to this season.
Yep.
And my second bold take here is Cam Ward finishes top 5 in passing yards. I think people forget when he was at Miami, his 1 year there, he was slinging the rock. He had like 4,400 yards passing in Miami, his, Heisman Trophy race season that he had there. Cam Ward can throw the rock very well. And I'm expecting his passing game to take a massive jump in 2026.
Fair enough. I like it. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people I think are expecting Cam Ward to have a good year this year with Tennessee. They've upgraded their team overall. Their coaching staff's going to be good. I like Robert Saleh. Obviously, I like Brian Daboll. They're going to be fighting up there for the South. The South is really good this year. I think Jacksonville, even though their run game might be atrocious this year because I think they kind of botched that this offseason. Not just with letting ETN go, but essentially not like really replacing him.
Amir
But
Abdullah? There you go. They got Amir Abdullah. Let's bring back Amir Abdullah.
With Houston, and I think Indianapolis will be decent again this year, around a 500 team once again. It's going to be tough. Like Tennessee's going to have to really get going, but I love the way their offense is being built right now. And man, am I excited to see Cam Ward throwing the ball because this dude showed flashes last year as a rookie. It was a rough situation to be in.
Oh, it was rough. I mean, when Alec Iomanner is your main wide receiver and Chamari DK, don't get me wrong, those guys are still players. They're not Carnell Tate.
Carnell Tate
They're
is
not
going to
Wan'Dale
really
Robinson.
yeah.
The fact that he's going to have that slot guy and you're going to have your outside guy in Carnell Tate, both of those guys, Iomanner can be another outside guy. I'm assuming, I know you still have Calvin Ridley on the team and everything. I think Iomanner's still going to be very serviceable. I think DK is going to be very serviceable still. I think those guys are underrated at like the wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 spots for sure. They're not wide receiver 1s or wide receiver 2s. And the fact that they have gone out there and gotten those, I really like the wide receiver room a lot more for Tennessee than I would have last year. And that's why I'm expecting Cam Ward to take that jump in his passing yards this season.
My last bold take is one that I think it has some sentimental value to you.
Oh, okay.
It's something that involves a prediction that you had. And I have fully bought into this team coming into the season. It's a team that has some question marks about players, but they have all the talent in the world to go to the Super Bowl. This team has an unbelievably generational side of the ball. The Houston Texans are winning the AFC. The Houston
Okay.
Texans are going to win the AFC. This defense is unbelievably good. This D line is unbelievably good. And
Yes.
I just need CJ, please tap into your rookie self. Find it. You're getting Tank Dell back. Like Tank Dell is, remember him? Remember when his legs just came off in Kansas City? Like just
Yes.
straight up, they just left his body. He's
Yes.
back. He's on his bionic legs now. And maybe that's all he needed. Maybe he just needed his old buddy Tank Dell back. But Nico Collins, they got David Montgomery. I love Demo at the running back spot. Their offensive line is probably the thing that has a little bit of question marks to it, but they have a
Yes.
solid tight end in Dalton Schultz.
They did draft Keelan Rutledge out of Georgia Tech. A lot of people are high on him too,
Yep.
so he could go in there at guard. I think he's probably going to be guard.
Dude, they got like their defense is so good.
It is. It's generationally good.
Their defensive line. I watched them absolutely suffocate the Buffalo Bills on national television. Like
Yes.
Josh Allen could not stay up for more than 2 seconds. Like it all comes down to CJ Stroud. If CJ Stroud is a average quarterback to if he's just average, this team is not only going to win the division, they're going to make a run. If he taps into his rookie self and he's above average, they're going to the Super Bowl. And I just, dude, I'm not living in a world where CJ Stroud is not a good quarterback. I've seen this dude at Ohio State make throws I've never seen anyone make reads. He's one of the smartest guys on the field. He was the Ohio State quarterback to end the narrative, and it's coming back. The narrative's coming back.
It is.
It was supposed to be Justin Fields. That
Yeah.
didn't work out, and now it's supposed to be CJ Stroud, and it's not working out. And Will Howard, he was a 4th round pick, 5th round pick,
4th, 5th, yeah, I think 5th.
Yeah, like that's not what these guys are. These are the guys to end the narrative. And dude, Houston has all the talent in the world to make a run. They are so good. People need to realize how good, like, this defense is up there with the one Seattle was just sacking
It
everybody.
is generationally good. Absolutely.
This is a defense that comes with a name, like the Legion of Boom, or when New England, in 2007, that unbelievable defense with Vince Wilfork and all those guys on the defense.
Yes.
This is that team of our generation. But God, their offense needs to get going. Just put some damn points on the board, man. Help the defense out. Will Anderson is generational. Danielle Hunter is unbelievable.
I'm going to throw this name out too. I don't think there's a defender who is more slept on and underrated in the entire league than safety Jalen Petrie. Jalen Petrie,
yeah, exactly.
Should have been he should have been at least on some All-Pro team last year, and the fact that he didn't make any of them to me was crazy. He had
he was solid. He was really good.
It could be that he has toad head because of his guardian cap, but he is genuinely one of the better safeties in the league right now, and he deserves his recognition as well on that defense. He is disgusting, and that defense is filthy. So I like the prediction a lot. Of course, when we did our playoff predictions, when we got to playoff time last year, I predicted the Texans to go and make the Super Bowl because of that defense.
Yep.
And the thing is, you're completely right. If that offense just finally does something worthwhile, then Houston has a legit chance. They really do because of how good that defense is. That defense alone could make them win that division, or should make them win the division.
Do you think that the Texans would re-sign CJ Stroud right now?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't think they would.
That's sad. That's so sad.
Now, I'm pretty certain they did pick up his 5th-year option, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. So
Yeah,
they did do that.
they have 2 more years with him. But like this is like you got to. And D'Amico Ryans is such a good head coach. Like
Yes.
D'Amico is a phenomenal head coach, and especially on the defensive side of the ball. It's just, man, like I just don't like get going. Don't waste this.
Right.
Like,
It
come
feels
on.
like we're getting there. We're getting close to that potentially being wasted.
And to
But
be
you're gonna have a
honest,
long
it's
time
not
of
like
Will
there's
Anderson.
it's
Sorry.
not like there's a Rams of the AFC. You can say what you want about the Bills. The Bills always find a way to choke. Like the team who won the AFC last year, New England. We all think New England's kind of fake. Like I don't
A
think
little bit, yeah.
we think New England's going to be good. We don't think they're going to be nearly as good as last year.
Right.
Um,
Even with
the
AJ
Chiefs,
Brown.
the Chiefs are not the Chiefs of years past. This Chiefs team has a lot of issues. They have injuries to deal with, and who knows how good they're truly going to be.
Yes.
People say the Chargers are like that team that take the next step. Maybe they are, but they haven't done it yet. Like the AFC is open. The NFC runs through LA. Like that's the end of it. The AFC is wide open, and this is the year that the Texans would need to kind of get it going. Like they need to take advantage of this, because if they don't this year, like not just saying the Super Bowl, but like if they don't make a run, if CJ Stroud doesn't pick up the pieces and like kind of get off his foot, like I don't know what you're gonna do with him. Getting rid of a guy like Stroud, who just, after that rookie season he had, it's just unbelievable to me how bad he's been. I hate to see it because I loved Stroud.
Right.
And I still do, but it's just sad how like he had so much promise, in that rookie team of Houston was just so fun to watch, and now it's like he's not even a shell of himself. He's just not himself.
It doesn't look like it. Something mentally had to be there, or something has changed.
He can't read the field anymore.
Yeah.
He just can't. He's not making the throws he used to. But yeah, Texans of the bowl. Texans and Lions in the bowl, baby.
Wow,
That'd be a fun Super Bowl, man.
Oh, yikes. 2 teams that had never made it against
LA,
each other.
In LA.
It is in SoFi.
Yeah.
Yep. Every Super Bowl at this point, every other year, is going to be in SoFi anymore. So
Yeah.
might as well.
SoFi, it's somewhere in California or New Orleans.
Pretty much every time. Anything with a bowl, you never know.
Or I guess Florida. Maybe they'll have it in Miami or something like that.
I can almost guarantee you, once the Titans' new stadium in Nashville opens, a Super Bowl will go to Nashville at some point.
I think they already announced that there was going to be one there.
I think they did. Was it that? I think you're right.
I think they announced like 2030 or something like that.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Like 4 years down the road, like they're going to have it in Nashville, that's going to be a party. But yeah.
Yes. All right. Number 1 for me on the bold take scale is something also, I guess, that has never happened before. Now, you've already talked about the Texans
Browns
defense.
winning the division.
No, not that. That is facts. They haven't won since it was the AFC Central. So, you've already talked about the Houston Texans defense, how good they are. And it seems like in the last 2 or 3 years, the NFL, we were there for a solid 7 or 8 years. Offense, passing the ball. Offensive head coaches just took over the league. And now, in the last 2 or 3 years, we've kind of gone back a little bit to ground and pound, run game, and defense is the name of the game right now. Only 9 players have done this ever in a season. My bold take is that we will have not 1, but at least 2 running backs with 2,000-yard rushing seasons this season. We will have 2 of them in the same season. There's 2 of them that I'm thinking of off the top of my head that could be. Now, some of these guys are all scrimmage yards. Like, I think you could see a Bijan Robinson do it. But will part of that be receiving yards? That's the issue. Jahmyr Gibbs, he could do it. Jonathan Taylor at Indianapolis, he was what, a 16-yard rusher last season? Or 1,600-yard rusher last season.
Something like that, yeah.
The league right now is really becoming very good at the running back position again. It almost starting to feel like the early 2010s when we were younger anyway, where we had the Chris Johnsons, the Jamal Charleses, the Arian Fosters, the APs, early Le'Veon Bell. We had these very, very good running backs that were they were the mainstay of offenses back then too. Like they were the main pieces, and we're starting to see that trend again. And I'm predicting 2 running backs, 2,000-yard rushing seasons. Only 9 of them have ever done it in a season. It's never been done in the same season before.
Are you saying who, or just 2 running backs in general?
I'm just predicting 2 running backs in general will get 2,000-yard rushing seasons.
That'd be insane.
That's why it's a bold.
Yeah, but it'd be cool. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Who, like, just throw out a name. Like, who do you think could do it?
I mentioned Bijan. I think Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. They're guys who are all could do it. Jonathan Taylor.
No, they will get that in all-purpose yards.
That's what I'm saying. That's the issue
like,
with some of those guys. I feel like it would be all-purpose, where they could almost get 2,500 all-purpose yards.
Both of them will get 1,500 rushing yards,
and then like 800.
Yeah,
700-800 yards receiving.
Yeah, like they'll have generational offensive player of the year type seasons. It's just, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, I could see getting there.
I think Jonathan Taylor's one. The issue that I have is we've never seen a running back repeat as well. We've never had a repeat 2,000-yard rusher. So guys like Derrick Henry have already done it.
Yep.
Saquon Barkley has already done it, which I think easily one of those guys could do it again.
With how much they're going to run Jeremiah Love into the ground. maybe he's going to have like rookie 700, carrying attempt.
I will throw this out there. With the Raiders, right? This offensive line on paper should be much better this season.
Genty should be better.
Genty should be better. I'm not saying expect 2,000 yards from Ashton Genty in his second season. I'm just saying he could become a running back eventually capable of doing that in the league.
Remember who their offensive coordinator is.
It is Clint Kubiak.
It's Clint Kubiak. Who did Clint Kubiak coach? The Seahawks. He was that unbelievable run game with Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. So
it could happen with Ashton Genty right away. Who knows? But I mean, there's still others out there, like a Quinshon Judkins.
And I don't think this guy is going to get 2,000 rushing yards, but I'm expecting and we said this last year because he was a rookie. I expect a massive season from Amari Hampton.
Oh, yes.
I fully expect Amari Hampton to have like 1,300 rushing yards. Like, I think that's a good breakout year. He might even have more with that offensive line finally being healthy with Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. I think a lot of people are liking the Chargers this year. I agree. I think that they're going to be very good.
It's hard. It's hard to actually predict them to win the division. I did that last year.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I think this team should be better than they were supposed to be last year. People are forgetting they did win 11 games still.
Yeah.
They still won a lot. It's just
when they get to the playoffs, Justin Herbert turns into a different person.
But
now he's a married man. Now he's an engaged man to Madison Beer. So he is going to prove everyone wrong, and the Chargers are going to win the Super Bowl. Not this year, but next year, because the Texans are making it this year.
Exactly. Maybe we have a Texans-Chargers AFC Championship game.
Oh, that would be so good. Oh man, dude,
they play each other in the regular season too. So.
Two teams that have like never gone far at all, or 2 teams that have never done anything really in the playoffs, and playing for the Super Bowl would be amazing.
Absolute cinema, as some would put out there.
That'd be phenomenal. I would love that.
NFL bold takes have come and have gone, and we appreciate your time, National Football League. Now it's time to get into the Big 67 preview here. But before we do that, if you have gotten to this point in this episode, if you're watching on YouTube and you have not subscribed, please go hit the subscribe button down below and hit that push notification bell so you stay up to date on all of our new videos. Okay? Make sure you go follow us on our Instagram, TikTok, and X at Ball N Beatz Media. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you may be getting your podcasts, give us a star rating. Please do that. The Big Ten, the big daddy of them all, the teams in conference that have taken over the sport of college
Mhm.
football. Who would have guessed that college football would be running through Bloomington, Indiana? If I told you that even 2 years ago, you wouldn't have believed me. But we're here. 3 straight national championships for the conference.
Bang.
Some would say it just means more up
In the
north.
Big Ten.
It's not even up
And
north
the,
anymore. It's
and,
out
the, and the
west.
best thing is, like, you think about like the last 3 national champions of the Big Ten, all 3 have faced adversity.
Yes.
It wasn't this, 2 of them had perfect seasons with Michigan, without the cheating. But that was their adversity. Like the whole thing that came out with Jim Harbaugh getting suspended, and you had Sharon Moore crying after they won in Happy Valley, saying this is for you, acting like Harbaugh died. The whole thing with through the playoffs, the adversity of like, are they going to be able to beat Alabama? People doubted how good Michigan was until they just destroyed Washington in the national title game. Same thing with Ohio State. They had 2 losses. They had one of the worst losses I will ever see in my life. I don't think anything will ever beat how bad of a performance they put on against Michigan in 24. I don't think I'll ever see that again. And how pissed off that made me that we lost that game, but it fueled them to go on one of the greatest runs of a string of winning games against Tennessee, who basically invaded OSU, Ohio Stadium. There's a ton of Tennessee fans.
We were calling for Ryan Day's firing if they don't win that game. If they don't win that game, Ryan Day's head might have been on a stake. Okay, genuinely.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been on fire in Columbus. They beat the #1 team in the country in Oregon. They beat them by 20. They beat a really good Texas team by double digits. And you had the jack run, after the fumble recovery off Quinn Ewers. And then
the Quinshon Judkins game is what I call the national championship.
And then you do what you do against Notre Dame every single time is you beat them. They haven't beaten you since 1936, and that's not going to, end anytime soon.
Maybe it does. Maybe it
does. No. Notre Dame sucks. Notre Dame is awful.
They are bad. They're so bad.
And one of the greatest runs you ever see. I was so excited, as many Buckeye fans were, and it was just so cool to see them, finally pull through. And then last year, it's Indiana. It's just Indiana. They're going to find a way to lose.
I wonder who was saying
that.
They
beat Alabama by 35.
I wonder who
they beat Oregon by a bajillion. And starting off with a pick 6 off the first play of the game, D'Angelo Pons made Atlanta erupt.
Well, yeah, because it was all Indiana fans in that crowd too.
Yeah. And
they took over. They legit Indiana fans took over every stadium. They dominated. Yeah.
I didn't know there was that many people in Indiana, to be completely honest with you. And then the national title game was a close game. It was a good game, but you had moments. And yeah, I doubted Indiana, and I think everybody did because it's their history. But now you can't do that anymore. This is this is one of the upper echelon programs in college football. and
it sounds crazy to say. It does, but it's true. It is very true.
Dude, I remember like years ago, College Game Day went to Indiana when OSU opened the season there. They went there and they only won by 20 points. And like people are saying, what is wrong with Ohio State? Why did they not beat this program by 1,000 at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington? Like, every time
OSU Ezekiel Elliott game we're talking about where he had like 3 50-yard rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, and that was like all other than that, Indiana played them tough. It was a weird game, but like this is who Indiana is now. I don't expect them to go anywhere as long as Curt Cignetti's there, and it's good for them. I don't have any more. I never had hatred for Indiana. I doubted them like everybody else, and now I have been turned to the light. I have seen the ways of my errors. I've seen the light. Curt Cignetti has shined his light on me, and he dissed the SEC at Big Ten Media Day. I can't respect any. I couldn't respect him anymore. If you diss the South and you diss the Southeastern Conference as a Big Ten fan, that should make you feel good because none of us like the SEC. We can be unbiased as we want.
I'm unbiased.
We can be unbiased as you want. You can be as biased as you want. You don't like the SEC if you're a Big Ten fan because of what's happened in the past. You can respect them, but you don't like them. So that's the end of it. And seeing that the Big Ten has owned college football the past couple years, it has destroyed the mentality of the fans in the South. It has hurt them, the fact that we are the upper echelon conference now. The one thing I will say, the SEC has probably the deeper conference than the Big Ten. The Big Ten at the bottom has some real stinkers. Like that, we got some real ass at the bottom of the Big Ten.
That's fair, 100% fair. But I will say this. I do think the middle of the Big Ten's a lot closer to the middle of the SEC than they want to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
a middle of the pack Big Ten team like Iowa. Iowa went and beat Vanderbilt, who was one of the better SEC teams. In, they went 10-2 last year, and Iowa was a middle of the pack like they always are, 8-4. You know what you're going to get from Iowa, and they beat them in the I don't know what bowl game it was, but they beat them in a bowl game.
Screams ReliaQuest Bowl, doesn't it?
Yeah, Music City Bowl.
I can't remember which one it is because I feel like Michigan's almost an annual fill-in to a ReliaQuest Bowl game anymore, but it just feels like a ReliaQuest Bowl. You know, the thing is right now with
Michigan embarrassed the Big Ten in the bowl season last year.
Yes, they did.
Getting annihilated.
Absolutely had to allow Arch Manning to do what he did was despicable behaviors. But the whole discourse around the SEC and the Big Ten right now, to me,
it's cool. I love it.
It's fantastic.
I love this rivalry. We haven't had something like this in college football since NIL, to be honest with you. Rivalries are kind of now you're gonna like the big ones like OSU, Michigan, Alabama, Auburn.
When you have conferences beefing, this is what you need. And I was gonna say that in this new era of where we are in college sports, with the whole name, image, and likeness, arguably semi-pro sports, whatever you want to say.
Yes.
Both of these conferences that are the best, clearly the two best.
Yep.
Having the beef that they have and jabbing back and forth, it keeps the pieces of what people like us who love college football, it keeps those pieces of tradition still there.
It's the rivalry.
It's the regionality of it still.
Because
when you hear what Curt Cignetti had to say, he said the Midwest. Even though the Big Ten isn't all.
He had a tone to him. Like then he said, that's why we're the best. And then he had a little smirk. You could see him smirk a little bit after he said that. And Curt Cignetti, who was in the South for a long time, he was an assistant under Nick Saban. This dude been in the SEC, but it's the fact that the Big Ten and the SEC have always had a slight rivalry. It's never been anything crazy, but since they have become the top two conferences, and I don't want to say that it's not like
celebration time. Here's the annual balloons. The annual balloons every episode.
I don't know, it's the fact that now that they are the two best conferences, and like I said, I don't want to say it's like two. It's not like the Big 12 is good. Like the Big 12 is a good conference. They have good teams at the top. But the Big Ten and the SEC have much better teams. They have much better overall conferences.
Yes.
Ever since that's become a thing, and you've had since the addition of Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC, since Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and USC went to the Big Ten, and they've all conjoined into basically two super conferences.
Two conglomerates, really, is what they are. Yeah. Conferences.
It's just two titans. And they've just been fighting at each other for years, and the Big Ten's gotten to them because the Big Ten has won the last three natties, and the SEC hasn't even made the national title in the last 3 years.
Yeah. I think it's true to say this, Spence, before we get into previewing this Big Ten, Big 20, Big 50, Big 100, whatever you want to call it anymore. I think the realist issue, and it's not really an issue, it's just that people need to realize this. The Big Ten right now just has more teams that can win a national championship. The SEC has, albeit maybe a better, from top to bottom. They might have a better from top to bottom, but they might only have one legit team who could go out there and truly win a national championship year in and year out.
I disagree with that.
I don't think. I think the Big Ten has had more teams capable of winning a national championship.
No, I agree. But the fact that Texas can win it this year, Georgia can win it this year.
I don't see any team outside of that. I really don't.
I would argue LSU just because I really think they can take that step with Lane Kiffin, and that defense is going to be as good as it was last year because they retained those players.
I don't know, Jim. I
I don't know about Ole Miss, but like you can say the same thing about the Big Ten. Oregon, Ohio State. Can you say it about Indiana just because of the amount of transfers that team had in? They lost a lot of talent on that team.
Yes.
You think so?
Yes.
But outside of that,
I could say outside of that, and and we'll discuss that. We will discuss that.
Okay.
Once we get into our Big Ten previews here. I think we might have the same number 18. You want to count down here with a 3, 2, 1. Purdue.
Yeah.
Purdue.
Man, it must suck to be a Boilermakers fan right now.
Oh, it's got to be so rough. It's got to be
you are the ugly stepsister in the state right now with Notre Dame and now Indiana being that upper echelon. Dude, you got basketball. At least that's good. Like Purdue's always good at basketball.
What's the craziest thing too about Purdue is that they've completely dominated in the old Oaken bucket history. Like that trophy is theirs.
Not anytime soon.
It's not anytime soon. That's for sure.
They lost. Was it 49-0?
Oh,
I think Indiana just absolutely smacked the hell out of them.
So bad.
Yeah, poor Barry Odom. This. Here's the thing about Purdue. Purdue, they made a Big Ten title game a couple years ago. I think it was 2022.
Yeah, they did with Ryan Walters.
Yeah. They've had teams. Obviously, they
back in the day when Drew.
They're always going to talk about the Tyler Trent game and that Purdue went in and just absolutely mollywopped Ohio State.
Rondale Moore, rest in peace.
I knew when when they had this ceremony about a kid that had cancer and that they were celebrating him at this game. I had a really bad feeling about that game, and man,
I think a lot of Buckeye fans did.
Rest in peace to Rondale Moore. I will always respect the hell out of him because that was one of the most unbelievable performances I've seen by a wide receiver ever. He made plays in that game, especially at the end where he eluded 3 tackles, spun out of another one, and then just ran it back to the end zone.
Yep.
I just sat at my TV watching, dude, what the hell is happening? But no, in modern day, Purdue is not good. They didn't have a really good transfer portal class. They brought 29 this past offseason. Quarterback Ryan Brown
is back.
He could be decent. They got a couple transfers. Fame Ija Boy from Minnesota. I don't even know if that's how you're saying his name right.
I think it's Fame
from Texas. Travis Terrell Jr. from Jackson State. They got a guy named Mr. Clark from FIU. His name is Mr. Clark.
Yep.
But no, it's going to be a rough year in West Lafayette, and
Xavier Townsend will be fun. He'll be.
Their defense has a couple pieces that are returning. They got Ian Jeffries, Charles Correa, Smiley Bradford. But it's not going to be pretty. Especially with their rival being as good as they are now and coming out of nowhere the past couple of years. It's a rough year it's rough to be a Purdue fan in football.
Yes.
Very rough. And I expect them to probably go 2-10, 3-9, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe Barry Odom, it's going to take a couple of years to get Purdue off the ground, especially since all the players in Indiana are now going to either Notre Dame or Indiana. And they're kind of getting the rest. They're going to have to utilize the transfer portal a lot more, but Purdue's never been known as a football school, but then again, neither did Indiana. So you just need the right coach. I just don't think Barry Odom's that guy. So
it's really hard for Purdue, man. it is. And the thing is, the issue you're going to have at Purdue is they're going to only, I think Ryan Walters had 2.5 years, 3 years, and they kicked him over. Barry Odom, I think he's now on year 2 or year 3 now as himself, and it's what? I mean, you got to give some time.
Yeah, I mean, they had Jeff Brom, which was cool.
Brom was the best they had in a long time. Jeff Brom, I mean, he took him to the Big Ten title game before he went back to Louisville, and he was consistently actually 6-6, 7-5 almost during that time frame.
Did they get annihilated by Michigan in the Big Ten title game? Yeah, yes. But they made it. they made it, and sooner or later, nobody will be in the Big Ten title game. So,
Right.
yeah, it's going to be a rough year for the Boilers, but they got basketball, so
Yes.
they
Yes.
always have
I have nothing else to really add to Purdue. It's just
ass.
it's more so you send prayers your way to West Lafayette more than anything. Now could they be 17th? Potentially. We'll see. But
Yeah,
they could be 17th.
they could. They might not be straight worst garbage of all time. They might just be straight garbage.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah. All right, at number 17, I honestly, I think this team's just going to forever stay here. Rutgers at 17. Greg Schiano, love the guy, what he did at Ohio State as, as the coordinator. But like, I feel like this dude's just going to be here until he retires. I don't think Rutgers cares. Like, they really haven't done anything since he's came back. He had his best Rutgers offense last year since 2007, and they went 4-8. Their
Yes.
defense was not good.
I got to say this before you go any farther. Antoine Raymond, the running back, and KJ Duff, the wide receiver. They've got two legitimate NFL players on that offense. Those guys are legit quality guys who could be as high as like second round picks next year. These are legit players. Outside of that, though, keep going.
Yeah. Their quarterback's either going to be Dylan Lonergan or
Dylan
AJ.
Lonergan, the dude who was a Bama guy and then transferred to Boston College. And
Yep.
I mean, it's Boston College. So,
they got a couple. They got Malachi Davis from Toledo.
yes, they did.
He went there. They got Jaden Burnett from Tulsa. They did, they signed some guys from the Group of 5 level in the transfer portal. I just don't think it's really going to help them out much. I don't think Greg Schiano is really I just think he's there just to be there. Because Rutgers really doesn't have another choice. He's been there for 18 total seasons over 2 tenures. He's 99 and 108 overall, which is unbelievably good at Rutgers. It just they haven't done anything since they upset. Was it Louisville? Was
Back
that
in the day when they were in the Big
home?
East, when they were ranked?
Yeah, like the upset over Louisville back in all those years. They really haven't done much.
I think
since
Ray
then,
Rice was on the team then, if I can remember correctly, at running back. Yeah.
I don't expect them to do much this season. I just expect them to be slightly better than Purdue.
If they had Gary Nova at quarterback, I don't know if you remember Gary Nova in the chrome helmets they used to rock back then.
Old chrome New Jersey.
If they had
helmet,
Gary Nova, Rutgers would be a top 10 team in this
conference. They should bring back the actual knight logo on the helmet.
Yes, absolutely.
Like the knight with the sword down, like that. That's a really cool logo, not just the R. The R is bar.
Basic. But I disagree at 17. Now, I will say mine might be a little bit bold because I do think there's a potential that a lot of other folks are really high on this team in this program, and specifically quarterback more than anything. And honestly, this team is returning a lot of talent. My issue with this program is what happens outside of the month of September. You just can't trust it. They might be 3 or 4-0 in September, and then you look, and then they're 4-8 at the end of the year. Number 17 for me is Maryland this year. Now, Malik Washington, I really like Malik Washington at quarterback. I think he is a very good, ultra-talented quarterback who I believe will be in the transfer portal this time next year instead and somewhere else for 2027. Mike Locksley he's got a lot of things that have to go right this year. But there's a lot of returning pieces. They've got running back DeJuan Williams back, wide receiver Caleb Weld back, tight end Dorian Fleming back. Their left tackle, their center, their right tackle returns from last season. Zahir Mathis, the edge rusher, very good. Sidney Stewart, very good. There's a lot of returning pieces, surprisingly, for Maryland because they did lose a good amount of talent still in the transfer portal. But yes, the biggest issue with this program is what happens once you get outside of September. Because this team, they always look good to start the year. Year in, year out. And then we get to the end of November, and it's like, oh, they didn't win another game yet again outside of September. It's like clockwork. Mike Locksley, if Maryland doesn't make a bowl game this year, I would assume Mike Locksley is probably going to be done in College Park, if I had to guess. Um, I like I said, I really like the quarterback situation. I like some of these pieces. I have to see them win a game outside of September for me to be like, okay, they're going to be higher than down here towards the bottom.
At number 16, I have the Michigan State Spartans. Um, I'm not like a massive fan of Pat Fitzgerald going to MSU. I think it's a fine hire. I don't think it's like a great hire per se. Um, you just better hope you get the Pat Fitzgerald, that wasn't a part of the whole hazing incident and was actually winning at Northwestern because they were always hot and cold. There and it is Northwestern. It's a not really a football school, but they did make the Big Ten title game twice under Pat Fitzgerald, and they did lose to Ohio State both times.
Yeah.
I do like the run game that they're going to have. They landed Cam Edwards from UConn, who had 1,200 rushing yards. Their offensive line depth is going to be awful. That's one thing that's going to really hold them back is that line. And their defense is going to be bad too. They only returned 3 defenders after that only logged 100 snaps last year for the Spartans. Pat Fitzgerald had to, basically load up this entire team on the transfer portal. Besides the quarterback position, they were able to keep Alessio Miljojevic. And they got a couple guys. They got a couple receivers and Christian McCray and KK Smith from Notre Dame. It's just I don't really believe in the Spartans this year. I think that's going to be a rough year. They have a rough schedule too. Like on top of the Big Ten, they go to South Bend and play the Fighting Irish. And while I think Pat Fitzgerald could maybe get them off the ground, I'm not like a massive fan of him. But going to Michigan State, but it's an okay hire. It just reminds me a lot of Jonathan Smith. And I think that they'll be not that great this year. But he might be able to build them up. It's just going to take a minute because they have a lot of transfers coming in and they're going to have to get them right. So
I do believe a little bit more than you do in Pat Fitzgerald and Michigan State. They're not terribly high on my list. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely a little bit higher though. I think that if there's a surprise, you and I've already talked. This was my first bold take of the entire season. Was that Michigan State makes a bowl game? I went out there and said that. I think that Pat Fitzgerald is a better hire than given credit. I know it didn't end great at Northwestern the last couple years before, obviously, the hazing scandal and everything, but this guy's a coach. He's a legit coach. And to make 2 Big Ten title games at Northwestern, I know they had to play in the Big Ten West, but you got to understand, we're talking about Northwestern. Northwestern, literally, they've made a Rose Bowl 1 time. You know who was the team captain of that team? Pat Fitzgerald.
yeah.
Northwestern is basically an independent school that plays in the Big Ten. That's just what they are. They're a very hard academic school to get into. And Northwestern, it's a very hard program to ever legitimately win. And so him actually being as good as he was there, I think people need to really give him the respect that he deserves for that outside of the other situations.
I mean, he was there for a long time.
Yes. He was there, 17, 18 years as their head coach?
Yeah.
Pretty much after his playing days. It felt like immediately.
They play Northwestern, I think. I think Michigan State plays Northwestern this year.
They do. They get to play Aiden Giles in Northwestern. Well, I'll discuss Northwestern here soon. 16 for me, you already talked about them as Rutgers. I give them the tip of the cap because I believe in the talent that they have on that offense. And Antoine Raymond and KJ Duff. Those are legit NFL players. Antoine Raymond I have in my top 10 running backs going into the college football season for NFL prospects. He is an electrifying running back. KJ Duff is a very, very good wide receiver. In fact, most NFL people are probably higher on him than I've been on him myself. I think he's a legit wide receiver. Yeah, the quarterback situation, it's whatever. It's either Dylan Lonergan or it's going to be AJ Serace, who's been there in the program. But it's Rutgers. It's Rutgers. What do you expect? Can't expect too much.
At number 15, I have Maryland. Don't have them much higher than you. Just 2 spots. You kind of talked about it. I don't really. Maryland will be 4-0, and then they'll be 4-8. Like they start out, they normally do pretty good to start the season. They get a couple wins against bad teams, and then they fall off the planet of the earth, and they win maybe one game in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Malik Washington's going to be, the quarterback, and who knows, he should be fun to watch for Maryland. But the defense isn't very good. Besides, a couple like transfers, like Chris Durr Jr. from Wyoming, Preston Howard from Auburn. Really not all that exciting. Maryland's just going to be Maryland again. They're such a boring team.
Yes.
And while I think Malik Washington will be fun, Maryland will probably go 4-8 again. This will be like the same year, same season. Maybe they'll be surprise people and go 5-7.
Malik Washington screams the Miami Hurricanes quarterback in 2027 if I've ever seen it. Like
he will probably transfer after this season from Maryland if he does good.
He screams like Darian Mensah from Duke.
I'm honestly surprised Mike Locksley is still there. There's a lot of coaches that I'm surprised they're still in these programs because Locksley really hasn't done much. So the biggest thing Maryland has done in the last decade probably was when they almost beat Ohio State in 2018.
Don't remind me of Anthony McFarland Jr., dude. Please don't.
And that 52-51 game that gave me a headache the rest of the day and made me want to just die because of how bad OSU's defense was playing.
Offensively, they've produced some serious guys. It's weird. Individual talents. Maryland has produced a lot of individual talents that have gone on to do really good things in the NFL. They just don't have anything else around them usually. That's their issue. Number 15 for me, I will admit I could be a little bit lower on this program because I do like a lot of the moves that have happened with their coaching staff and the fact that they just outperformed what people expected last year. Number 15 is Northwestern for me. David Braun, he's done a great job since he's taken over that job. I don't think anyone expected Northwestern to be 7-5 last season. Should have beat Michigan in Wrigley Field. They've done very well, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. And the defense will still probably be better than their offense this year. But I will expect offensive improvement this season. I mentioned Aiden Childs. He's now at Northwestern. The offensive coordinator for Northwestern, Chip Kelly. And I'm forgetting the first name. Is it Rob Reinsteidel? Goldilocks. Right. Goldilocks. I forget his name, but from UCLA, everyone knows who I'm talking about there. He's on this coaching staff. He's the quarterback coach. So Northwestern's really improved their coaching staff, and there's a lot to like defensively still. It's just hard for me to expect there to be, be better than they were. Like around that range again, or slightly worse is what I would expect. Just because I'm not gonna lie. I don't like Aiden Childs. I'm not a big Aiden Childs guy. It didn't work at Oregon State that well, but he transferred in and everyone expected him to be this next great quarterback. I remember when they said he was the number one quarterback in the transfer portal. You remembered that? Coming from Oregon State to Michigan State. It just has not worked out. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe Northwestern is the charm for him, But I will say this about Northwestern. I think they're going to be good enough where they get a team and they upset them. This is a team who is absolutely going to be good enough to get an upset or two against teams that you just were not expecting them to beat.
Yeah.
Defensively, you bring back Robert Fitzgerald at the defensive back room as well as Braden Turner. You bring back Braden Bruce at linebacker. Defensive line, you still have Michael Kilbane. He's one of their best guys on this roster. Kalen Campbell as well. So there's a lot to like defensively about this team that I would still say is going to match what they brought from last season. I just don't trust really the quarterback more than anything.
Number 14, Northwestern. Don't really got to say much. You kind of said it all.
There you go. 14 for me is Michigan State. Complete turnover, change of philosophy. And I will say this about Michigan State. I've already kind of said I'm a little bit higher on them. There's a lot of investment into that football program right now. They got the biggest donation in the history of collegiate athletics to upgrade their facilities and upgrade a bunch of stuff with their football program. So they're going to be putting a lot more emphasis on this program. To be fair, everyone knows about Michigan State's issues outside of their athletic stuff. They've had a lot of academic issues and issues stemming with university presidents and a bunch of other stuff that we don't need to discuss here that also can interfere with what's going on athletically too. I think this running game is going to be very good for this offense. You are the biggest Alessio Milivojevic fan out there. I don't know how you don't have his jersey already.
Alessio.
But you've
This is
talked
fine,
about you're a big Alessio Milivojevic fan. Is it Milivo or is it Milio? I don't know.
I think it's Miliojevic.
I know there's a
have
V
no
in
idea.
there. I know there's a V in there.
Maybe it's silent. I don't know.
But I've gone out there and said it. I believe Michigan State will be good enough to make a bowl game this year. I think that some of these other teams that they'll have on the schedule, I think they could get a team or two that I would even have ahead of them and go out there and beat them. I do expect there to be more, grit, if you will, in East Lansing. They're going to get back to the real football, and I'm not talking the hazing grit. I'm talking football grit.
There's a lot grit and stuff, just like the Lions.
You mentioned Cam Edwards, the UConn transfer. There's other very good players in this offense who I think could do really well. And yes, the offensive line is easily the biggest question because if one guy goes down, they're kind of cooked. But expect improvement from the Spartans.
I mean, they got to at least get up at some point because Michigan State used to be really good and would always be
Mark
up there.
D'Antonio days. He would be Mark D'Antonio needs to have.
It's sad that they're going to lose their home opener, but it's okay.
Yes, they will.
At number 13, I have the Wisconsin Badgers, the Luke Fickell-led Wisconsin Badgers. And here's the thing: Wisconsin should be better because last year couldn't have been any worse. They had their worst year since 1990. They had their quarterback play was some of the worst I've ever seen in my life. I mean, every dude just got hurt. It was awful for Wisconsin. Their defense essentially had to be perfect. And now that at times their defense played really well. The problem is their offense was horrific. So they went to the transfer portal.
Awful.
They got Colton Joseph from Old Dominion, which should be fun. He threw for 2,600 yards and rushed for over 1,100. They got Abu Sama III from Iowa State to run the ball.
Better than any running back
Darren Dupree. They got a couple Division III guys and Matt Jung and Liam Danitz from Hope College. My whole big thing is I'm gonna be honest. Like they made some good. Like I think Colton Joseph could be fun. Like I think he could be good. My whole thing is like I just don't trust Fickell. I really don't. Like Luke Fickell to me should stay in the group of, or not like the group of five anymore. When he was at Cincinnati, he shouldn't be in a massive program. He should be in a lower level program like he was at Cincinnati, and I think he'll do great. He's done this, and I I love the guy. I don't love the guy. My team went 6-7 when he was their coach. But
did win natties with him on the coaching staff, though.
We did. Well, not because of him, but he was on the staff. My whole thing is they made some good transfer portal additions. I like Colton Joseph. I really like Abu Sama III from Iowa State. Alongside of Darren Dupree, they got, like I said, they got a couple guys from Division III. They got Cooper Cantonalo, Sebastian Cheeks, Mason Posa returning. Their defense, I think, is going to be fine. Their D tackles might not be that great, but their defense has never been the issue. It's always been the offense. Their offense has been horrific, and I think it can be better because it can't be any worse under Colton Joseph. And I just don't expect a whole lot from Wisconsin. I mean, they play Notre Dame, another team that plays another Big Ten team that plays
Green
Notre
Bay.
Dame. They play them at Lambeau. I just don't trust Fickell, and that's my whole reasoning behind this. I think they have some decent transfers coming in. I think that they could be maybe they should be more fun than last year because last year it was like watching a train wreck. But I don't expect much from Wisconsin this year, and I think Fickell's on his way out the door soon.
I'll get into Wisconsin in just a little bit, but number 13 for me. It's a program that I feel like has had a lot of hype in the last couple seasons, and it hasn't necessarily panned out as they would have expected. Quarterback is gone. Coaching staff's still fairly intact, but it kind of feels like, where are we going from here? Number 13 for me is the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. Anthony Calandria, coming in from UNLV, was originally at Virginia before then. He could be one of those dark horse quarterbacks to watch out for. The issue is, he feels like if Marcel Reed was Anthony Calandria, if that makes sense. Because he is so up and he is so down. When he's down, it is not good. When he is up, it is very good. He's a power 4 level quarterback, top tier power 4 level quarterback when he's good. Who's the true running back one this season? I think there's questions there. Wide receiver room, I believe, is pretty solid, though, for Nebraska. They brought in a guy in Quasi Gilmer from UCLA. You still have Ja'Cory Barney Jr., and you have Naziah Hunter back as well. The right side of the offensive line's a question mark. You lose your right guard and right tackle from graduation. But I think the defense is still going to be fairly good. Will we see a 5-star prospect in Williams Waneri finally have a breakout season at defensive end? One of their big gets under Matt Rule. And you have a good, really solid linebacker transfer. I really like an Owen Chambliss coming from San Diego State. I expect him to be very good. The realest issue with Nebraska that I have is, what's the real ceiling? Have we reached the ceiling already with Matt Rule in Lincoln? Is my biggest question.
Number 12, Nebraska. It's kind of the same reasoning. I just don't. It's another coach that I don't believe in. I don't believe in Matt Rule. I think like he was good at Baylor, and he obviously got an NFL job because of it in Carolina. Kind of fizzled out, and now he's here. It's just the fact that like Dylan Raiola was like their big get. Like it was Matt Rule's guy. And while he showed flashes of being good, he showed flashes of being bad, and then he just left for Oregon to be the backup. This dude's the backup at Oregon. And it's crazy. He left the starting job to be a backup, but he's basically looking forward towards 2027, where he will probably be the starter at Oregon. But the whole thing, like, what's the direction here? Nebraska's kind of just been like in limbo for years. Like Matt Rule hasn't really gotten them off the ground, and he's kind of like hyped them up to say like, hey, all right, well, this is our year. Like we're going to fight. We're going to get, Husker football back to where it needs to be. We're going to get going. And it just never happens. And I like Anthony Calandra. Like he's going to be a fun quarterback to watch, but he's also going to be a frustrating quarterback to watch. In this defense, is it really going to be all that much of a massive improvement? Who knows? Like, I just don't see the vision, and I also don't like the coach. So I got them at 12.
12, Wisconsin. Bang. The reason why I wanted to pause a little bit on Wisconsin is I really do believe that the realest issue when it comes to Luke Fickell, specifically while at Wisconsin, is he tried to change the formula from a program that has always done it one way, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. And that's really been the issue, is the offense. He tried to bring in a philosophy that's more of a pass-first offense to a program that is historically one of, if not the best running teams in the history of college football. You look at Ron Dane, Monte Ball, Melvin Gordon, Jonathan Taylor, Braylon Allen, and others out there that Wisconsin's had at the running back position. And now it appears that they're trying to go back in that direction a little bit more again. And with the dual threat ability of Colton Joseph, you talked about it, coming from Old Dominion, 2,600 passing yards, 1,100 yards rushing. His dual threat ability is maybe the quarterback they need more than anything.
Yeah.
And you bring in Abu Sama III from Iowa State. He's a solid running back. He's not great, but he's very good. And they, of course, had Darian Dupree coming back. You mentioned that. They also have Brian Jackson III, who is a very good prospect from USC. So they might have a better, they will easily have a better running game than they've ever had for Luke Fickell, I think, this season. Personally, I think it'll be the best running season we've seen from a Luke Fickell offense since he's been there. Offensively in the passing game, which is what he's tried to do. Will Vinny Anthony II step up at wide receiver? Will we see Eugene Hilton Jr.? If you know why he's junior, that's T.Y. Hilton's son. Will he step up as well at wide receiver? I'm expecting those guys to maybe have potential breakout / just better overall seasons. I have questions for the defense a little bit at defensive tackle and linebacker. specifically because they lost Christian Allegro to Ohio State, obviously, but it's Wisconsin. I feel like they always answer the linebacker questions typically. But Wisconsin offensively, now you get back to the running game. I expect them to be a little bit better. And I'm sky high on Colton Joseph. I think he could be a potential reason why they finish higher than number 12.
Fair enough. All right, at number 11, I have the Illinois Fighting Illini with Brett Bielema. Illinois is actually, like, under Brett Bielema, they've been really good. They've been a really solid team. He's 37 and 26 overall. I think he's kind of like fit what Illinois needs
Yeah.
since, the whole Arkansas thing that happened out. They've won, just as a crazy stat that I didn't know about, they've won 13 one-score games in the past 3 seasons. That's the most in the FBS.
Yes, it's not even close.
That's
actually
kind of crazy to think about, but they've won a lot of close games under Brett Bielema. Luke Altmaier is obviously gone as his 3 years. He was a solid to above average quarterback for Illinois. They landed Caden Hauser from East Carolina via the Michigan State guy.
All these former Michigan State guys, right? How many of these guys are former Michigan State quarterbacks?
A lot of former Sparties. And while they did lose Hank Beatty, their leading receiver, they should have a decent transfers in Alex Perry from FIU, Jay Sean Platt from FAU, joining Colin Dixon, Hudson Clement. My biggest concern for them this season is going to be their defensive line. Their defense in a general is going to be a question mark, but their secondary is returning Xavier Scott, Matthew Bailey, Tanner Heichel, Juice Clark. They're returning some guys, but they lost a coordinator. Now they have former Montana head coach Bobby Hawk as their new defensive coordinator, and they are only returning 8 of 22 players with 200+ snaps.
You lose the edge rusher Gabe Akis, who I was a big fan of. If Gabe Akis could have had another year at Illinois and returned, I feel like this defense would have taken a massive, massive leap and would have been one of the better units in this entire conference.
Yeah. But their entire D line is going to be transfers.
Yes.
Like their D line is in general is going to be, I don't think that great. Maybe they surprise some people. I think Illinois will make a bowl game. I think they'll be an average team in the Big Ten this year, like a 6-6 team, possibly 7-5. I don't think they'll be bad because I do think with Brett Bielema you get some stability there at Illinois. And he's, they win a lot of one-score games. But with losing the amount that they did on the defensive line, their O-lines, they also lost as well. And, not having Luke Altmaier is going to be different with Caden Hauser now coming in.
Yes.
But I don't think they'll be bad. So I got Illinois at 11.
Number 11, the Fighting Illini of Illinois. I fully agree with everything you just said. I do want to mention the running back room as well. You have Khalil Valentine back and Aiden Laffery back as well. Obviously, Caden Fegan, if people don't know, he was one of their main running backs. He's now tight end for them. He's moved over to tight end, and he'll probably be their tight end 1 heading into next year. So that's a change for them offensively. But you mentioned Hudson Clement, you mentioned Colin Dixon, and some of the transfer guys. If you know the YouTuber Bordeaux and how he rebuilt FIU in College Football 26, you know a little bit about Alex Perry already. So Alex Perry will come in and be an impact player for them. Eddie Casper, coming from Illinois State's a slept-on guy as well. Illinois has been really you can knock them down, but they seem to always get back up for no reason. They're kind of like the David and Goliath a little bit, where they get knocked down by the giant, but yet they're still fighting, and you're like, how are they still here? They can sometimes kill the giant too. They're good enough that they can kill the giant. The issue is they usually don't kill the giant. They're still there, but they're always fighting with the giant. They're one of those programs. And Brett Bielema, he has really turned Illinois around, because I remember we were at a place probably, 2015, 2016, where they were clearly the worst program in the conference for a little bit. And in Illinois now with Brett Bielema there, they've really made themselves here in the middle of the pack. And one of those teams where if they can get a little bit better at recruiting, a little bit better at developing, although I will say they've developed very well in the secondary as well. And recently we know cornerback coach Corey Parker, he's now at Illinois. He was the guy at Toledo with Quinyon Mitchell and these guys early on at Toledo. So we know that they can do very well, specifically in the secondary as well. But Illinois, they just feel like they're like one or two real big pieces away from being a legit.
If their defensive line, like if they brought in like, I don't know, some big name transfer, or if they had a guy that was developing, I would probably have them a couple, maybe one or two spots higher.
Yeah.
I don't know. And with them losing Altmaier, I think that's also big as well.
For sure.
At number 10, I have a team that's the vibes at this college are unbelievable these days, because it was horrific last year, and now I think they're really on the up and coming. UCLA. I really like Bob Chesney. This dude does. He is just he's like another Signetti, to be completely honest with you. If people don't know, this guy brought Assumption University, which I don't even know where that is or who that is.
Let's go. I'm gonna Google it real quick.
To the Division III quarterfinals. He brought Holy Cross to its first FCS quarterfinals. And then obviously last year he brought James Madison to the college football playoff in the Duke's 4th season in the FBS. He has done absolutely nothing but win at whatever level he's at. He has 132 career wins. The dude has been unbelievable. And now it's a massive change of scenery to go to California and coach at UCLA in the Rose Bowl. But he did what a lot of coaches do when they have successful teams. He brought a lot of players with him, and he brought a lot of JMU Dukes. Running back Wayne Knight, receiver Landon Ellis. He brought 2 All-Pro or All-Sun Belt linemen, Riley Robel and Carter Sweezy. Defensive end Sahir West and Aiden Goberia. Linebacker Drew Spignati, nickel DJ Barksdale. And they held on to Nico Iamaleava.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll see if he's better this season. He had times where he was good. He had times where he was bad. And we all know the whole thing with Nico and Tennessee and that whole thing. But they got Eugene Brooks back, Cole Martin, Roderick Pleasant. They added a couple of guys from Oklahoma. They added Oklahoma, Sammy Omo Sigho, however you say that dude's name.
Enjoy. I don't even know.
Utah safety Tao Johnson. They brought a lot of transfers in. And at the end of it, I like where UCLA is going. I like that they brought in a bunch of guys from JMU who are going to fit in there in UCLA, doing essentially what all, up and coming coaches do. They bring their best players with them to their next program, and it ends up for the most part working out pretty well. And hey, the last James Madison coach did pretty damn good when he went to a new program. So why can't Bob Chesney?
I think that's just the new trend.
He's done absolutely nothing but win wherever he's gone. And I think UCLA is going to be much. I mean, they were rough last year, but then again, they had a top 10 upset after being 0-4, which is just crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I fully believe Bob Chesney will do good at UCLA. I don't think that they're going to have like an upper echelon, like 10-2 season year one, because I don't trust Nico Iamaleava that much. But I do think that they will be better, and I think they'll make a bowl game.
Did you say Assumption University was D2 or D3?
It said, hold on.
I just want to know.
He brought Assumption University to the Division III quarterfinals.
Okay. Well, I know there's an Assumption University in D2 that I found. and by the
Never heard of.
By the way, this Assumption University that I found, their football stadium is Brian Kelly Stadium, because Brian Kelly graduated from there.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's crazy.
Out of Worcester, Massachusetts.
Well, I mean, that lines up. He's really he coached on the East Coast for most of his life.
Yes.
So
it would make sense.
That's crazy.
Number 10, UCLA.
All right, we're on a roll.
We're on an absolute roll here of agreeing. But you're right. You're right. There is maybe not a higher vibe right now than a program like UCLA. The full swing from being one of the worst potentially in conference to now, we got the next James Madison coach. Why can't we make the playoff in year one with Bob Chesney? I'm just saying they're one of those programs.
I mean, it's what happened with Indiana. Who knows?
Why not continue the streak with the Bruins, but there is a lot to like. There really is. Nico Iamaleava was a 5-star prospect for a reason. Okay, he is that good. Now we need to see it really in the passing game. We know about his running ability. We need to see him drastically improve in the passing game, but he's going to have better weapons than he's ever had. Aiden Mizell from Florida, Landon Ellis, you mentioned from James Madison. They also bring in Michigan legend, not really legend, Samaj Morgan. So there you
Hey,
go. You got him. Nothing beats breeding. Wow. Nothing
yikes! Nothing beats breeding, indeed.
Nothing beats bringing in Wayne Knight, the James Madison running back. He's going to make this offense be 10 times better. You bring in him to pair with Nico with that dual threat ability. Might be one of the more fun running games in the entire Big Ten this season. And you mentioned all the pieces they brought in defensively. And vibes are pretty high out there in Los Angeles for both programs in the city, but really out there by the Bel Air side of things in UCLA. They should be much better, much improved. They should make a bowl game this year. Could they be? Could they be year one Indiana? Time will tell. But they are a top 10 team in conference.
At number 9, I have the Minnesota Golden Gophers. PJ Fleck, it's his 10th year in Minnesota, which is crazy to me. But his overall record, 66-44. That's really damn good. I didn't realize
I don't think people realize. I don't think people realize how good Minnesota football actually has been for what Minnesota is. Minnesota is practically Iowa, and no one says that, but they are. Yeah. They're practically Iowa. Why do you think they have the best rivalry trophy in the country? Just saying.
Yeah, I have Minnesota here. I think Minnesota is going to be good this season. Obviously, Drake Lindsay, I think is going to have a really big season. He had his redshirt freshman season last year, and he had some really big time throws. Their offense is going to have quite some experience. They have Darius Taylor back, Jalen Smith. They have 3 starting offensive linemen returning. They have Grant Washington are coming back, Noah Jennings. I really like where this team's going. My biggest thing is going to be this defense. They return 9 of 17 players with 200 plus snaps, which honestly, with all these talks about, is actually not bad. Most of the time, it's like we return 3, we return 4. No, they return 9. But they returned Anthony Smith, who had 12.5 sacks last year.
He's their biggest piece. Yeah.
Yep, they returned Maverick Barnanowski, John Nestor, and Kerry Brown. And they also got some guys in the portal like TJ Bush Jr. from California, Andrew Marshall from EMU, and Mekhi Smith from Lehigh. I think that they'll have a solid defense, and I think that overall this is a very solid team. I don't think that they're going to be explosive. I don't think that they're going to be upper echelon Big Ten, just because I need to see it from Minnesota again. And they do have a tough schedule, but I think that they're going to be a good team overall. They don't have a ton of holes, but I don't think that they have superstars anywhere. I think Drake Lindsay is good, not great. I think most of these guys are good, not great, except Anthony Smith. I think Anthony Smith's going to have a phenomenal season. Some of these guys on defense. I'm excited to see about this defense. But overall, I think Minnesota will be decent. I don't think that they'll be amazing, but they will certainly make a bowl game, and they'll probably have a big win here or there. So 7-5, 8-4 for the Gophers.
Number 9 for me is the other team I compared them to, the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa and 8-4. What more could you ask for? So the reason why I'm lower on Iowa is really partially quarterback, because rumor has it the expected quarterback one I think a lot of people were expecting was Jeremy Hecklinski. Rumor has it Hank Brown might be quarterback 1 out there in Iowa City and not Jeremy Hecklinski. So that'll be intriguing to see. Now, they do bring back Kamari Moulton at running back. You have Reese Vandersee back at wide receiver. Have one of the better tight ends in college football, and DJ Vonemi returning as well. He's a hot name. Left tackle, Trevor, I think it's Luck. Lowick? I don't know how to say it necessarily. It's either Luck or Lowick. I don't know. We'll figure it out eventually. But he's going to be one of the better offensive lineman prospects probably for the draft in 2027. You have right guard Cade Piper back. Now, defense, you have a little bit more questions, I guess, with returning talent, but you can never really question an Iowa defense because, it doesn't matter who it is. It's Iowa. You have safety Zach Lutmer returning. Corner Jalen Watson, I'm expecting to take a next step for this program, be one of their better secondary pieces. Toledo, Ohio product, by the way. Have to throw him out there. Central Catholic graduation guy, by the way. Shout out Central Catholic, go Irish. And they have Jaden Montgomery returning as well at linebacker. They have some transfers coming in I like. I like Kamari Brown a lot out of Elon at defensive end. You have safety Tyler Brown coming in from James Madison. Evan James at wide receiver coming in from Furman. Another wide receiver I really like as well is Tony Diaz coming from University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, the Vaqueros. A program has only had college football now 1 season or 2 seasons, and their stadium looks better than some of these G5 programs. Iowa, they're just consistent. They're just consistently there. Now, can Iowa maybe break through eventually? Who knows? Could they finally actually upset a team instead of taking them to the final 10 seconds to then get your heart broken in Kinnick and instead beat them again? We will see. It's Iowa. They have to be in this 7 to 10 range pretty consistently, and you just got to put them in somewhere.
At number 8, I have Iowa because 8-4. It's literally 8-4, and they were at number 8, and that's the reason why. Don't really have much else to add.
Nothing much.
They are Iowa. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They will be awful, but they will also make plays when needed, and those plays will be a 5-yard slant.
5-yard slant to the tight end, and it won't be wide
to the
receiver.
tight end. Yep.
Punter, we should have. Oh man, we should have talked about their punter, man. We should have talked about the punter because this is the one team that really needs to specify how good their punter is.
The punter is, yeah.
So,
but yeah, I have Iowa at 8 because of 8-4. So
8 for me. Now, this isn't bold, I would say, but I feel like there's reason for them to maybe be this low. They could be a little bit higher. Around this range is fair still. But I think some might be a little bit higher. It's the Washington Huskies for me at number 8. Because you do lose Denzel Boston on offense. You do lose Jonah Coleman at running back. And you lose Adam Muhammad to the transfer portal, who was expected to be running back 1 this season. He goes to Cal Berkeley. So you lose that. Yeah, I know you have Damon Williams back. The real question is, what transpired in the offseason with him entering the portal and then choosing to come back, will that have an effect on this team? My gut tells me it won't be that big of a deal, but that remains to be seen with their play. And I do think they have taken some slight steps back because of losing those pieces. They might be a year away from developing some of these guys. They do have Desmond Roebuck back at wide receiver. They have running back Jordan Washington, who's probably going to be running back 1. At tight end, you have Decker DeGroff. And, they have some good pieces defensively. Defensive end Ontario Thompson's a very solid player. You have Jacob Lane at linebacker. Zari Alexander at linebacker. There's a lot to like, I think, on the defensive side for me, more than the offensive side heading into this season for Washington. I've been sky high on Damon Williams in the past. I need to see his passing game develop more because I do think there's still some inconsistencies that I'm not a big fan of right now. I need to see that jump, but he doesn't have the talent that he had last season around him. And can Washington finally just win a game on the road? Because they win games at home just fine. Can Jed Fish and this Huskies team finally go on the road and go and beat a team like a Penn State, go beat a team like an Oregon in Eugene, like a team like USC, go on the road and beat somebody? Go do it, Washington.
At number 7, I have the Washington Huskies. Pretty much. I mean, a couple of these, it's just, I don't really have to say much. I like Ryan Walters' defense, though, a lot. I like what they're going to have next year. And I think with the whole Damon Williams thing, that might be an issue, but I think he's just going to ball out, then he'll probably end up transferring at the end of the year.
Again.
Going back, just for fun, for Iowa, do you know what year this is for Kirk Ferentz?
25?
28.
28.
He's been there for 28 years. Do you know how many wins he has? He's the all-time winner, and he's the all-time in wins in the Big Ten. But do you know how many wins it actually is?
It's got to be like 200 something.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go 237.
No, that's way too much. 213.
213.
He's 213 and 128 overall. But just thought I'd throw that out there because the guy is the all-time wins leader in the Big Ten. And yeah, I have Washington at number 7.
Well, I mean, it might be one guy, but they took away his history, so we won't talk about that though.
Fair. Fair enough.
He probably has in reality 1,500 wins in his coaching career, but none of it
matters. Yeah.
So sorry, Joe.
Washington at 7. What's your number 7?
Number 7 for me is, I finally am going to say it, but you know how I feel about the quarterback here. You know how I feel about this team. They were on my Big Ten dark horse list video with the Bruins, but the Golden Gophers of Minnesota at number 7. I think people need to buy their Gopher stock. I think people need to really watch out because I can't remember what year it was. If it was 2018,
2019.
2019 with Tanner Morgan at quarterback. I think Mo Ibrahim was still running back at the time. They might have had someone else there too. Where they went 10-2. They went 10-2. I think this team is capable of being a quality team like that. Losing Coy Parrish to Oregon does scare me, at least on the back end of that defense.
Yeah, if they could have kept him, that would have been massive.
If they would have kept Coy Parrish, I think that would have bumped Minnesota in my top 6. But I really like the wide receiving core that they have in Javon Tracy and Jalen Smith. You mentioned Anthony Smith at edge. He is one of the better and more slept-on players in the Big Ten, period. I would argue he could be a first-team All-Big Ten defensive player this year in 2026. I like Drake Lindsey a lot. I like PJ Fleck a lot. I think that this team is the real dark horse team that people need to consider in this conference.
They have some tough games. I will just say that.
They do.
They play at Washington. That's a tough game because Washington's really good at home. They play Michigan at home. That'll be a massive game for Minnesota. Yes. If they can win one of those two, because they start out against Eastern Illinois, they'll win that game. Versus Mississippi State, they'll win that game. Versus Akron, obviously win that game. And then they play at Washington versus Michigan at Purdue. They'll beat Purdue. But if they can win one of those Washington-Michigan games, that'll be massive. They play Iowa at home. They do play at Indiana. They play at Penn State. They play home against UCLA. They have some tough games, but I can see a world where Minnesota is at least fighting for one of the top 5 spots of the Big Ten, at 9-3. I don't think they won't make the playoffs, but I think that there's a world where they can at least fight for being in the top 20 of college football.
For sure. I think that's very realistic. 100%. I've really thought about, when we do our BNB poll rankings, they're one of those teams for me that's in that 21 to 25 range entering the year. One of those teams that they're like 24 or 25, but they're right there in my opinion. I think people need to watch Drake Lindsey, man. If you have not watched Drake Lindsey throw the ball, it is maybe one of the prettier ones. And I will say, I think the Big Ten period at quarterback have him and Drake Lindsey. We'll talk about USC coming up here shortly, I would assume. And obviously Julian Sand. All of those guys have some of the prettiest balls, that you'll see them throw out of any quarterback in college football this year. Drake Lindsey, obviously he had the little off the field conundrum this offseason. It's probably not going to be the biggest deal eventually. Who knows? Maybe Drake Lindsey is one of the best quarterback prospects when we get to the end of the year for 2027. He could be. If not, maybe he returns and is one of those guys for 2028. I think the world needs to look to Minneapolis for college football this year. Just a little bit. It's going to be enticing to watch. I promise you.
What is it? Is it
Huntington Bank Field?
Huntington Bank Field?
Just like Cleveland? I'm pretty certain it is. Let me double check. I think that's right.
I'll just go with my number 6. At number 6, again, our top 6 of the So the top third of the Big Ten teams, because there's 18 teams.
Yikes.
I have the Penn State Nittany Lions at number 6 with first-year head coach Matt Campbell. Obviously, it was a really odd situation for Penn State last year. It was an all-in year, and it crashed and burned more than anyone could ever imagine.
Yikes.
It was a rough year in State College after starting out as I thought they were going to be fighting for the national title game against Texas.
Or Clemson. Or LSU.
Yeah. Yikes.
Any of those teams last year. Oh, wait, they all did the exact same
crashed
thing.
and burned, and then but they made a bowl game. They made a bowl game.
They did beat Clemson, actually. They did beat Clemson in the Pinstripe Bowl.
The Pinstripe Bowl. That was the preseason national championship game.
Fantastic.
So the biggest thing is the amount of turnover that's going on with Penn State. The entire team is basically being turned around. I think their defense should still be good. Zion Tracy's good. Audavian Collins is good. Yvonne Cummaju is good. Darius Dixon is good. They have a lot of linebackers that are returning, and then they got a bunch of transfers. Starting with their offense. I mean, their offense essentially is just Iowa State.
It literally it is.
Rocco Beck, Carson Hansen, Chase Soul, Brett Eskilson, however you say that name, Benjamin Brahmer, Gabe Burkle, Trevor Burr. Like they got a bunch of guys, and
James Peoples.
They got James Peoples from Ohio State, who in college football 26, my first year that I did it, he won the Heisman. His first year he started at Ohio State. He had 3,000 rushing yards. So shout out James Peoples from Ohio State. But Penn State should be decent this year. It's a lot of turnover. It's a lot of transfers. It's a lot of what ifs. But Iowa State, the Penn State Cyclones will be decent. Will they win any big games? They don't have a lot of big games this year. They have a pretty easy schedule. But overall, I think that Penn State will probably be fighting for the playoffs just because I think that Matt Campbell's a good coach, just like James Franklin was a good coach. And he has basically his entire offense back. The defense is going to be a question mark because of the amount of turnover, like I talked about. But I do like the direction that they're going. And I think Matt Campbell will do decent his first year at Penn State. I think they'll probably win 8-9 games, maybe 10.
I'm kind of scared of the fact that we might have an entire top 6 that might be the exact same. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. Well, yeah, number 6 is the Cyclones of Penn State. That's what they are. They're the Cyclones this season, at least for 2026. They're not the Nittany Lions. They are, in fact, the Cyclones. Now, I do think that maybe there is a question of, oh, well, Iowa State still was like a middle-of-the-pack Big 12 team last year. Should they still be towards the top in the Big Ten? Do we really think that they'll go like a 9-3 or 10-2? I mean, they could. They easily should with that schedule. Based off of brand and schedule, Penn State should no reason be 10-2 at worst. For that reason alone, based off brand. But if you're talking team and experience, there's a lot of it there. I don't see why they can't. Rocco Becht, solid quarterback. Everything else with all Iowa State players, they're all solid. Now I do think there's a world where like a 8-4, 7-5 is a realistic play here for Penn State, but I don't. It's just hard to see with all the experience that they have coming in. They have a lot of experience. All the starting lineup is pretty much all experienced players on both defense and offense. So I don't see a reason for Penn State to not be still in this ballpark in the Big Ten. I just don't see a world where they're not very good with that schedule attached to it. They're the one team I really had to think about previewing them and actually predicting them based off their schedule, because this schedule alone puts them in this range. It should put them in this range. Now, if we're talking based off roster standpoint, I could maybe dock them just a little bit, but you have to put them in the top 6 just because schedule alone.
Yeah. All right, at number 5, I have the Michigan Wolverines in Kyle Whittingham's first year at Michigan. In the more than just just think about in the more than 40 years since he began his coaching career as a BYU graduate assistant, he's only coached in Utah and Idaho. That's it. Now he's going to the complete other side of the country, to the Midwest and Michigan.
He also doesn't hate Ohio State. He's
He
not
does
going to
not
coach
hate
with
Ohio
hatred.
State. No, he says hate's a strong word. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see how that ends up working, because we talked about how it's always important to have guys that have been involved in the rivalry as your coach, at least before they become a coach. We'll see if that ends up, hurting them or not. Um, my biggest question marks for Michigan, it's going to be Whittingham. Whittingham's going to be one. I mean, adjusting to being the head coach at Michigan after essentially kind of being like, retiring, being out the door at Utah. He's got a bunch of stars on this team, or at least 5-star, big prospects that are coming up. And the biggest thing is Bryce Underwood, obviously. That's going to be the biggest question mark for Michigan this year. How will the Jason Beck, Bryce Underwood partnership work?
Right.
He's a good offensive coordinator, and he turned Devon Dampier into a really good runner with a decent arm, nothing crazy, but they had a top 10 offense at Utah. Will he bring that to Michigan? I think he will, because he has a ton of talent on this Michigan team. Obviously, Andrew Marsh is going to be the main guy. Jordan Marshall, Zach Marshall, Jamie French Jr. from Texas, J.J. Buchanan from Utah on the offense.
And don't forget running back Savion Hitter as well.
Xavion Hitter, the 5-star running back. And their defense, Michigan's defense, is always going to be tough. They're always going to be good. Trey Pierce, Troy Bowles, Jair Hill, Zeke Barry.
Rod
Obviously,
Moore as well as back at safety.
The biggest name is going to be John Henry Daly, the transfer from Utah. He's going to be a star. Jonah Lay, Smith Snowden, Chris Bracey from Memphis. They have a lot of transfers coming in and guys returning. I really like what Michigan is going to be this year. I think they're going to be a good team. It all depends on the development of Bryce Underwood, though. Bryce Underwood has to show a capability of being a decent quarterback, because if he doesn't, it's just going to be another story of last year, where Michigan's decent. They get some wins. They're not a bad team, but they're not going to win any big games. Bryce Underwood was horrific in the game against Ohio State. He has to be better. He has to be better in the bigger games. Now they had a lot of stuff going on with that Michigan team last year.
Yes,
to be fair, they had a lot of issues, and that's out the door. Well, at least we'll see. But my biggest thing is going to be the development of Bryce Underwood, how Kyle Whittingham adjusts, and the development of some of these players and some of these freshmen that are coming in. And Savion Hitter is one of those. So it's going to be really interesting to see. But I think with Whittingham, I think he fits Michigan. He fits Michigan. He's not a Michigan man, because how they orgasm over being a Michigan man and all that stuff.
Yes.
He's not that, but I think he's a good head coach. He brings structure and he brings stability. So,
number 5, the Michigan Wolverines as well, as Spencer is leaving me for the time being. What Spencer said, he nailed it on the head. It's year 1 in Kyle Whittingham. He's not a Michigan man, but he's a very good head coach. We've seen it over his time in Salt Lake City, as I'm explaining to the people at home that Michigan is also my number 5 team. Bryce Underwood, of course. Will he, now that he has a quarterback coach, will there be true development there? Is the real thing here. And can Bryce Underwood genuinely improve enough to carry this team farther than people might expect this season? I think there's still that potential in Bryce Underwood. Obviously, there's still a lot of room for him to grow. You mentioned Andrew Marsh at wide receiver, probably the best wide receiver Michigan's had really since Nico Collins, probably. Maybe better than him, at least as a prospect. You mentioned J.J. Buchanan. You mentioned Jordan Marshall and Savion Hitter. This offense should be better than they were last year for sure, all around. And then defensively, I really like Jair Hill, the corner. I think he's a top 5 corner for the draft heading into 2027. I think people need to talk about him a little bit more than they are right now. Rod Moore back at safety too. He's a real integral piece of this defense. And of course, the big fish you mentioned, John Henry Daly. He's going to be a very fun piece to watch for Michigan. Michigan should be one of those teams out around 12 to like 17, I feel like, throughout the season. What happens in week 2 against Oklahoma will tell me how good Michigan can be.
Yep.
They got that game in Ann Arbor, and that'll tell me really just as much about Oklahoma as it will for Michigan. Whoever wins that game will go on a bit of a run, I believe. And I think Michigan, they've got the pieces. It's just hard to fully tell.
At number 4, I have the USC Trojans. With Lincoln Riley, it's a big year for Lincoln, to say the least. Huge, as some people may say. He's 36th and 17th overall. He's had a pretty good stint at USC. The problem is they haven't won anything with him. But if they're going to do it, it's going to be this year because this offense is going to be very good. Jaden Mayava, a lot of people expect to have another big season like he did last year. He was second in QBR in the Big Ten last year, just barely behind Fernando Mendoza. While his receiving core is going to be pretty different than last year, Tanook Hines is a guy to look out for. Zachariah Williams, Corey Smith.
And I'm going to throw out
Booby
this name.
Feaster.
Booby Feaster.
Booby Feaster.
I'm going to throw out this name, and I'm going to do it prematurely because I wanted to get into it since you're on it. Caden Dixon Wyatt, true freshman, formerly an Ohio State commit, flips to USC. I'm expecting him to be this year's potential Malachi Toney, Jeremiah Smith when he was a freshman, Ryan Williams. I think he's that guy for USC. I think he's going to be an impact player right away.
And obviously, I think Terrell Anderson, the transfer from NC State, who averaged 16.1 yards per catch, could be very big as well. They got 3 offensive line starters returning, and they have the dynamic duo of King Miller and Waymon Jordan. But their biggest question mark is going to be their defense, as it always is under Lincoln Riley. The offense is never a question mark; it's always good. They made good strides under DeAnton Lynn, but he left for Penn State. So they had to replace him. And they have guys like Cameron Crawford, Jakeem Stewart, Jaden Walker, Marcellus Williams. Like, they have talent. It's just about getting the right guys and making the plays. It's just, we'll see, man. They are one of the most fascinating teams to watch out for this year. They're going to be the one that people watch because they have a high upside defense. It's just about, can they finally get that defense? Because their offense is going to be very good. And we all expect Jaden Mayava to have a big year. Their defense just needs to be average, and they'll be a playoff team. Like, they will make the playoffs if their defense is just average. And they will be up there for the Big Ten title game if their defense can just be average. And they have big games. I mean, they play Ohio State at the Coliseum this year. That'll be a big game to watch out for. But overall, it's the defense that concerns me a little bit, and that's why I have them at 4.
Number 4, the USC Trojans. Back to back in a row. And you kind of nailed it.
Real quick.
You're good. You kind of nailed it on the head, though. But the thing is, he didn't mention the defensive coordinator that the Trojans have brought in is Gary Patterson, the former TCU Horned Frog head coach, who is one of the best coaches. He's already a college football Hall of Famer. Gary Patterson is a legit coach. They've got 2 legit head coaches on this coaching staff. Now, the defensive line for USC is the best defensive line that Lincoln Riley has had. He mentioned some of those names in Cameron Crawford, Braylon Shelby, and Jide Abasiri. Those guys are going to be fantastic defensive ends and defensive linemen for this team. Lincoln Riley, when you've heard this man speak, he has been so adamant that this defensive line is going to be very good and is the best one he's ever had. And Lincoln Riley is very confident in this program heading into 2026, and I am too. And Spencer mentioned the running backs, and King Miller and Waymon Jordan might be the best running game in the country, legitimately, this season. And with the wide receivers I mentioned as well, Caden Dixon Wyatt, the true freshman, I'm expecting serious impact right away. And Tanook Hines, I like them too. I like him a lot as well, as Spencer is back and returned. It's USC at number 4. Yet again, it's what it is. And I believe that You forgot to mention the defensive coordinator now for USC. I just mentioned this. It's Gary Patterson, the former TCU Horned Frog head coach,
Huh.
who is, in fact, already in the College Football Hall of Fame. So we have two legit head coaches on this coaching staff. And I think when you've heard Lincoln Riley speak at Big Ten Media Days this year, I didn't mention this. I kind of mentioned already about the defensive line. He believes in this defensive line being the best unit he's had, and the numbers kind of do speak that it should be. In the past, in Big Ten Media Days when he was there, he would kind of make excuses a little bit about why things haven't happened. If you listen to him this year at Media Days, one, there was no excuses. He fully believes in this team being that team to make the jump. I will say, I love Jaden Mayava. I mentioned already about Drake Lindsay having one of the better arms and the way he can throw the ball. I don't think anyone has a prettier ball in college football than Jaden Mayava. I think he might have the best pure throw of any player, any quarterback in the country. I really like him a ton. And I have this little bullet point up here for USC. It says if they make the college football playoff, because they might not, because it's USC and everything might blunder. If they make the college football playoff, are they this year's Miami? If they make it in as like a 9 or a 10 or an 11, do they go on that run? I fully believe USC, if they make the college football playoff, they could be that team. If they make it, they could surprise you. They could go farther than you expect them to. Don't be shocked if USC makes the college football playoff and they somehow find themselves like the Miami or Ole Miss from 2025. Just letting you know. Because the talent is there. The talent is there for your USC to finally do it. And so that's why I said, is there just 3 teams in the Big Ten who could legitimately win a national championship? Because if everything falls correctly for USC, I don't see a reason why the Trojans themselves aren't a legit national title contender. If everything goes right.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that's if everything goes right, of course. No one's under more pressure than Lincoln Riley in 2026, and I've already said that because, yeah, you have Steve Sarkisian at Texas, and obviously the pressure there to actually win a national championship. No one's got the pressure of Lincoln Riley just needing to win, needing to get to the college football playoff, needing to just finally get over that hump. No one has that pressure like Lincoln Riley this year.
Yeah, he has the most pressure on any head coach. I truly believe, heading into the season. All right, top 3. At number 3, I have the Indiana Hoosiers. I've talked about it before. We've all talked about it. It's a damn miracle what Indiana has done. They were 9-27 in their last 3 seasons, and then Kurt Cignetti rolls into town that are 27-2. 2 losses coming to Ohio State and Notre Dame. So it's unbelievable what Kurt Cignetti has done. Everybody's talked about it. I really don't have to go into much of how much this has just been a once in a generation type of turnaround that we don't ever see in sports.
Yes.
And we probably won't ever see again with how good it's been. Did Indiana have they went 16-0. They won the Natty. They won the Big Ten. They won the high. They did everything you needed to do in one season, and it's something that finally their trophy case has something in it.
Yes.
But we turn the page to 2026, and Kurt Cignetti doesn't believe he's defending the title. He thinks it's a brand new season, and they're chasing it again. Here's what we know: their transfer portal class absolutely phenomenal, as we would think so. Josh Hoover, the furry, is going to be their starting quarterback this year. They got Turbo Richard. They got Nick Marsh from Michigan State. They got Shaz Preston from Tulane.
Yep.
They got Wisconsin's best offensive lineman and Joe Brunner. They got 3 defensive ends with an A-grade pressure rate of 10% or higher, and Obizor from Kansas State, Toby Osunsami from Kansas State, and Notre Dame's Josh Burnham. They got just a ton of transfers in, and they're going to be really good. They got Charlie Becker coming back, who had one of the just made a name for himself at the end of the year with
Yes.
IU's run. They are bringing back Carter Smith, Bray Lynch, Drew Evans on the offensive line.
Carter Smith might be the best offensive lineman in college football this year too. So
Tyreek Tucker, Mario Landino on the defensive tackle position, and Daniel Nduke from the defensive end from IU. They're bringing back some, but they had a massive transfer portal class. They lost a lot of difference makers last year. They lost Mendoza. They lost 2 1,000-yard running backs, 2 800-yard receivers, and 8 total NFL draft picks. It does not matter. It does not matter because the absolute talent acquisition and scouting and development that Curt Cignetti, Mike Shanahan, and Bryant Haynes have is second to none. They have completely turned around college football. They have completely turned around the ideologies of a program. And Indiana is a winner now. And I do think Mike Shanahan and Brian Haynes will leave at some point because they could have left last year after what they did.
yes.
But, I mean, hey, if it just keep winning. And that's what they're going to do. Indiana's going to keep winning. Why do I have them at 3 and not at 1 or 2? It's because of what they did lose. They did lose a lot. They lost the Heisman Trophy winner. They lost their best receivers. They lost their 2 best running backs, who were 2 800-yard running backs. They did lose some pieces on the defense, but they're getting the benefit of the doubt at being number 3 because of how much turnover they have, because of what they are, who they are, and what they've been. Don't really have to say much. Their transfer portal class was phenomenal, is one of the best in the country, and I firmly believe Cignetti. I'm honestly shocked they have not built that statue yet. It shocks the hell out of me that he is not standing right in front of Memorial Stadium there in Bloomington.
I'm shocked that it wasn't up the next day. Like someone didn't already carve that thing out. The fact that they had a winning record his first year alone, So, it's weird because we finally disagree. It feels like for the first time since like number 7. So number 3 for me is the Ohio State Buckeyes. I have them at number 3 behind Indiana and Oregon. Ohio State, the only real reason why I was heavily debating, because for me, I think there's a clear number 1, and I was debating between 2 at 2 and 3. That's just what I believe.
Yep.
And so I was really debating, and I think I put Ohio State at 3 simply for who are going to be the guys to step up at wide receiver with Jeremiah Smith. Will it be one of these? Will it be a Kyle Parker who transferred in from LSU? Will it be Chris Henry Jr. right away? I think some people believe that. Will it be a Brock Boyd? Will it be a Devin McEwen? I think there's some question marks there outside of Jeremiah Smith. Will they have to force feed Jeremiah Smith this season? I don't know. Maybe he could have his worst statistical season at Ohio State this year too, and have some of these other guys step up. So there's question marks outside of Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver. Still have Brandon Inniss, of course, as well. Have him be there at slot. How good will Julian Sayin play in the biggest moments? Will we see that improvement? Will he be more free? And it feels like that's what has come out of Columbus, that Julian Sayin will have a little bit more command himself over the offense. Will we see that legitimately play out, or will he still look maybe a little bit flustered in the biggest moments that we saw in the 2 biggest games last year? It wasn't great performances from Julian Sayin, but we know his arm talent is there, maybe better than anyone out there talent-wise from that perspective. But I also have questions about the defensive line just a little bit, because you have a lot of transfers coming in. You have guys like Quay Rousseau and James Smith as a package duo from Alabama. You have John Walker, the defensive tackle from UCF, coming in. One of those guys in James Smith or John Walker will probably be paired with Edric Houston up the middle at defensive tackle. And then either Quay Rousseau or someone else on this defensive line will be paired with Kenyatta Jackson Jr. at defensive end. And who will replace, your biggest pieces in Caleb Downs and Arvell Reese? It seems like it's Peyton Pierce and probably Christian Allegro at linebacker, if I had to guess off the top of my head. You have Riley Pettijohn in the defensive backfield still. You have Jalen McClain still at safety. Devin Sanchez at corner as well, replacing Davison Igbinosun probably, and really becoming more of a cornerback 1 for that defense. I just have more questions. I just need to see. I feel like we've done this every year with Ohio State. They kind of just reload and don't rebuild, but I just need to see it with some of these guys take those next steps, or some of these transfer guys, how big of an impact will they really have? Because Ohio State, I know Ohio State's dipped into the portal before, but they really had to dip into the portal this time. A lot more than you might think. And I forgot to mention Terry Moore from Duke as well. They brought him in, so we'll see if he'll be a big impact guy. You can always count on Ohio State to probably now in a 12-team playoff format. They'll be in the playoff. How far will they go? That remains to be seen. But when you have probably the best player in college football the last 3 years, that does help you out. And I will say this as well. Running game I expect to be better, specifically with Arthur Smith now at OC.
Yep.
And we watched this last year. Really, the running game was the best when you had Bo Jackson and Isaiah West running the ball.
Yep.
And now it's going to be those two as your two main running backs. So I expect this running game to be better.
They kept throwing in C.J. Donaldson when they didn't need to. And that's what made me mad. C.J. Donaldson was a nothing. I mean, he had some plays, but like...
He was a red zone back.
Bo Jackson and Isaiah West were your two guys that you needed to play. So,
yes. C.J. Donaldson was your guy on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, but I mean, any running back at that level should be able to get in from the 1 yard line.
No,
so,
yeah, for sure.
It's not like you're in the Big Ten, you're at Ohio State. You should be able to get a yard.
Yes.
At number 2, I have Ohio State. I have the Buckeyes. I have them slightly above Indiana just because of the talent that they are bringing back, because Indiana lost essentially a good amount. And Ohio State on the defensive side of the ball did. I mean, they are only returning like 2 guys from that team, and it's Jalen McClain and Jermaine Matthews Jr., who really kind of just fizzled in and out. They weren't, their defense is going to be the biggest question mark, but their offense, I think, is going to be completely fine. I think with having Arthur Smith as your offensive coordinator, your run game, like you said, is going to be better. I expect a big year out of Bo Jackson. I expect a big year out of Julian Sayin. I think he needed another year of development. He's going to get that in the system. And I need to see him not be as frantic. I need to see him settle down. And when, you have a big game in week 2, and it's not at home this year. It's on the road at Austin. This is going to be a massive, massive college football playoff implication game. These are 2 of the best teams in the country from the SEC and the Big Ten. We talked about it earlier, the rivalry that's getting with that. There's a lot on the line in week 2. And I need to see Julian Sayin not be frantic, take what's given to him, move the ball when needed, take the 5-yard out route if you need to, and not force the ball. He forced the ball against Indiana, and he forced the ball against Miami in the playoffs. And I need to see him do better against that. The defense, we talked about it. It's going to be a lot of new transfer guys. And on top of that, you're going to be having guys who have been in the system step up. Zion Grady is going to be one. Riley Pettijohn, Devin Sanchez, Leroy Roker III. They're going to have, guys step up. They got Quay Rasoff and James Smith from Alabama, who could start. They got Christian Legro from Wisconsin, Earl Little Jr., Terry Moore. They got transfers, and they did a good job, especially on the receiver end of getting Devin McQueen.
I think it's McEwen.
McQuinn from UTSA, Kyle Parker from LSU, among others. And then you have Chris Henry Jr., who is the 5-star freshman that everyone's excited about and should be, and is probably, if he can take that next step, take Jeremiah Smith's spot next year when Jeremiah leaves in the draft.
Yeah.
And this offensive line needs to be better. The O-line has to be better in the big games. Luke Montgomery and Austin Shreveld, I don't really have much else to say. They're very good, especially Luke Montgomery. Luke Montgomery might be the best guard, at least not one of the best guards in college football next year. And I need to see the O-line be much better against better defensive lines. We got eaten alive against Miami and eaten alive against Indiana, and that's going to be the biggest thing. OSU, and finally, we got a kicker. We finally got a kicker that I care about. We don't have Jaden Fielding anymore. The dude is gone. That's why, you know what? That's why we're at number 2. Because Jaden Fielding's gone.
That's the only reason.
That deserves a few spots. So
that's the only reason.
You expect a lot from Ohio State this year. They have a really tough schedule. And I'm excited. I'm obviously going to be excited, but it's going to be interesting to see how week 2 goes start out. And then obviously, number 2, I think I know who you have because I'm pretty sure we both have the same number 1.
Number 2 is the Indiana Hoosiers. I
Yeah.
have them at number 2. You have to tip the cap to Kurt Cignetti. You have to tip the cap to Bryant Haynes. You have to tip the cap to this coaching staff. You have to tip the cap to what is happening in Bloomington, Indiana. They deserve the respect that they get. And they bring in the best quarterback in Josh Hoover. Not really best quarterback, but my beloved quarterback. I don't care about the disrespect coming from Spencer. We've been here before. Josh Hoover. It makes sense because TCU was the second most RPO usage out of any offense in the country, only behind Indiana. From a schematical standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, it makes too much sense. I like Josh Hoover a lot for this team. And we've seen it 2 years in a row. We had an Ohio Bobcat quarterback in the college football playoff, okay? You're telling me that Fernando Mendoza just went out there, won a Heisman Trophy with Kurt Cignetti and went undefeated and won a national championship? You're telling me Josh Hoover can't do similar stuff? Come on now. Come on now. And you already mentioned all their transfer portal pieces. I don't really need to get into all of that. We're already over 2 hours in now in this recording. We don't need to get into it. It's Indiana now. That's what I can say. It's Indiana. And you're like, wait, again, we're talking 2022. If I said it's Indiana, you'd have been like, what? What are you talking about?
Yep.
It's Indiana. That's what it is. Tip the cap to Indiana. They deserve it. And you've mentioned all the players that are back, and Charlie Becker and Carter Smith and other pieces as well. Indiana's going to be there. They're not going anywhere anytime soon, and I expect Indiana to be back in the college football playoff.
Yep.
And number 1 in 3, 2, 1. It is
Oregon.
See, you said it the one way. I got to say it the other way. Oregon.
Quack.
Oregon.
The Ducks.
Look, they're bringing everybody back. Everybody has pretty much returned.
They're not bringing their coordinators back. Both of them.
Well, that's the one thing they're not bringing back. Yes, it is Will Stein and Tosh Lapoy. They're gone. They are gone. But from a roster perspective, Dante Moore back. Pretty much the entire wide receiving core back. Defense. You look at the starting defensive line: Bear Alexander, Amari Washington, Tatum Tuioti, Mateo Uiagalelei. Back. I mean, running game, you do lose Jordan Whittington.
Questions. That's the one thing I will say.
Their O-line.
They lost Iapani Lulu, however you say that dude's name. Why has everybody got to be Hawaiian on this damn team?
That's fair. That's fair.
But their offensive, yes. Everything is perfect about this team. Their O-line's the one thing that gives me a little bit of concern.
A little bit. And it's not even that much, really. It's not. Because they bring back still a good majority of that offensive line. It's just that they lost like 2 pieces, if I can remember correctly. I think 3 of their starting offensive linemen are back. So I think that Oregon, they're just set up. They're set up right now. Yes, the coordinators.
This has to be the year.
Right?
If it's not this year, it's not.
It's never? No. Yeah. Well, here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing about Oregon. You and I, we might be Oregon propaganda pushers because we've been down this road before with the Ducks in the past.
Last year. Yep.
Last year we did it. And in 2024, you and I both predicted Oregon to win the national championship with Dillon Gabriel.
Yep.
And to be fair, they did finish number 1. We did get the 1 seed correct, I guess, heading into the playoffs. But Oregon is in this place where it's got to happen. It's going to happen. Like, it just feels like it's going to happen. They're basically Gonzaga basketball, where they're always good. They've always been there. They just haven't won it all. But if there's a coach that I would trust more than anyone who hasn't won it yet to win one, it's Dan Lanning. Even more than Marcus Freeman. Even though I think both of those guys are going to eventually at some point if Marcus Freeman decides to ditch off for the NFL at some point, maybe not. But both of these guys feel like national championship quality coaches in college football. They just do. And Dan Lanning, what he's built up there, he could leave Oregon. But Oregon is now built up to be a destination place in college football. And I just don't see a world where it eventually doesn't happen. Will it be this year? Time will tell. But will it happen? If I was a betting man, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would bet on the fact that Oregon wins a national title in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
It would feel like it's going to happen at some point. Who knows? Maybe UCLA does it before them.
That's right.
Bob Chesney comes in.
Bob Chesney, the JMU.
Maybe the Purdue Boilermakers in 3 years just take over the state of Indiana, and little did they know. And then Indiana's just now the center of college football out of nowhere.
Greg Schiano and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights are getting it done. Put your bets on the Scarlet Knights.
Put your bet on any Big Ten team before any SEC team is what we're trying to tell you, because it's more than likely going to happen first that way in the current state of college football. Well, the quacks are quacking. The ducks are in order, if you will. And all the conferences have now been done. Except, I think next week we do have to do a little bit of a Notre Dame preview just because. We have to do an independent preview. We have to preview Notre Dame and UConn so that way we can preview all teams. So I think we'll have to do that for the folks next week. But the big fish has now been fried. Yeah. Shout out the Big Ten. And if you're still here at the end of this episode, we thank you for that. Okay? And I just want to say thank you to our editor, 2K Dyllie and David, for having to deal with this editing of this episode being this long and the download times. We appreciate your hard work out there, sir. Since you're here, everyone who's watching still or listening, if you're on YouTube, go subscribe here to our YouTube channel and hit that push notification bell to stay up to date on all of our new videos. Thank you for the love that we've been getting, or hate as well. Sometimes hate's also love at the same time. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
And we appreciate the growing audience that we have here at Ball N Beatz Media. We appreciate that. So go follow us on our social media channels as well at Ball N Beatz Media on Instagram, TikTok, and X. Should be Twitter, but it's still X. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you give us a star rating as well. For Spencer, I am Logan. We will see you on the next one. Take care and peace out.
Peace.